Hey everybody, it's Brooke with Mrs. Cog Hill Farm, and I got Dee Dee here with me, but she's decided she's gonna smell around, so you may or may not catch a glimpse of her. But y'all, this weather is absolutely beautiful here in Alabama. I mean, we're still in February, but the signs and the signals that nature is giving us is that spring is already here. I checked the temperature before I stepped outside because I wanted to tell you guys how warm it is here, and it's 75 degrees. So needless to say, it's starting to warm up. Now, as soon as I say that, cold weather's going to hit again, but there are so many signs that spring is here. One being, look at Jason's roses. Look at all the new growth that's coming out as they think it's springtime. I'm going to walk around and I'm going to show y'all all the trees that have started to bud out already. And it's just a beautiful time of year here in Alabama. But trees and shrubbery and roses are not the only signs of spring. I am about to head over to the animal pastures, but before we leave this area, I wanted to update you guys on the purple martin pole with the gourds that we put up recently. There have not been any birds that have been scoping it out that we have seen. Now, that still doesn't mean that purple martins may find their way in our backyard this year, but I'm kind of thinking it's going to take some time. But that's okay. We didn't expect to have birds this year, so if we do have birds, it'll just be a little bit of icing on the cake. I knew you wouldn't be far behind. You gonna come in here and check out? Well, I'd really rather you not come in here because we have some eggs. And you are the #1 egg thief around here. But that's okay. Come on in. And I just have to keep a watch on you. Make sure you don't grab anybody's eggs and take off with them. So my first stop is down at the pond where the geese and Nugget and Goldie reside. And you may remember a few videos back, I showed you guys a few nests that the geese have started laying in. Well, in those couple of weeks that have passed, some changes have taken place regarding the goose eggs, and I bet you got a good idea what that might be. So in that video where I showed you guys some of the geese that had been laying, there was one particular nest that I pointed out, and that was by a pine tree. Well, at that time there was nobody sitting. They get to a certain number of eggs before they decide to sit, and that's kind of what's going on with Nugget and Goldie right now. Nugget is the male, and he will do the sitting on the eggs, but he's not going to sit until she's finished laying. Same thing happens with geese. They are not going to sit, and in this case, the female sits when a goose lays, but she is not going to sit until all the eggs have been laid and her clutch is finalized. So I'm going to pan around and show you guys one of these geese. I am not going to go up there because you can hear how loud they are, just me walking around down here. But you can see her up on top of the hill right there. I lost focus for a minute. But I'm not sure how many eggs she's sitting on. But she's very, very proud of the clutch that she has laid. And there may have even been another female that laid in that same nest. Spring is in the air, for sure. Now, she's not the only one sitting, so let's go see what else is going on. Dee Dee, what you doing, girl? You're not looking for eggs, are you? Dee Dee has a tendency to find eggs where we didn't know eggs existed. And we don't have any other dogs here on the farm that do that except Dee Dee. She gets a free pass. We just don't let her bring her eggs in the house, and she goes on about her business. I'm walking over by Marycarl's treehouse where I see a few duck eggs and another duck eggs because they have a green tint to them. Not all duck eggs have a green tint, but these particular eggs have a green tint, and they're not nearly as big as a goose egg. Somebody was trying to start a nest over here. I'll show you the difference in the size of a goose egg versus a duck egg. This nest was here because remember I told you Marycarl recognized it as she was coming down the stairs, and you can see these are very old. They've been there a minute, but there are some that are fairly new. So for whatever reason, the goose that laid this egg did not feel it was time to sit, and somebody else probably came and started laying here because that's a goose egg and that's a goose egg, but this is a duck egg. So nobody's sitting on this nest yet. It may stay that way, it may not. We will have to see. Hope y'all can hear me okay. The wind's picked up, but I do have my microphone on. You see Dee Dee, she found her a duck egg, and there are 3 geese over here that are not happy about her being this close to the nest. If she was in any kind of harm, I wouldn't allow them to get near her, but they're just gonna hiss and kind of tell her to go away, and she doesn't care what they say. She found an egg and she's happy about it. So let her be. So can y'all see in the back corner? That's in the porta hut that's in the pasture that Nugget and Goldie and the geese have access to. Right now, there is a new group in there because we have a new addition in Honey that you see, the donkey in the background, and the goats have made their way over here, but that's soon gonna change. Well, this was a nest that had a lot of eggs in it, and I really didn't think anybody was gonna sit on it because there's just too many eggs in there for any quantity to hatch. There may be 1 or 2 that hatches out of that bunch, but I didn't have the heart to throw any away. I feel like what's done is done, and she'll just have to be satisfied with whatever or whatever does not hatch. I was just telling you how good you were for leaving the egg and letting it be, and here you come towards the gate with an egg in your mouth. Is that a duck egg or a goose egg? I believe it's a duck. Y'all should see her when she gets goose eggs. It fills up most of her mouth, and she has an idea in mind. She takes these eggs and finds her a good spot, buries them, and I don't know what happens after that. I've never went behind her and actually seen if it's still there or if something tries to get it. But this is normal behavior for Dee Dee. Where you going, girl? Come on. You almost fell down. Come on, Dee Dee. Nope, she's gonna go find her a soft spot and bury it. Loretta, do you think spring's almost here, girl? I was coming to show everybody a tree in your pasture. Not necessarily you, but you appear to agree with me. You think spring's in the air too, right? Yeah. I gotcha, girl. Well, before you know it, it's going to bypass spring and summer's going to be here, and you're going to be in your pool relaxing. So this is one of the trees that I wanted to show you guys that's already starting to bloom out. This is what we call a Bradford pear, which can be a nuisance tree. There's a nest in here where a little bird decided to have its babies last year. There's nothing in there now, but if the wildlife enjoys this tree and it's not causing any harm here on the farm, we're gonna let it be, because it sure is beautiful with those white blooms on it. And I bet if we looked hard enough, there we go. There's some bees buzzing around in the top of it that appreciate it. Hey Gus, what you doing, buddy? Loretta was just showing me this pretty pear tree that's in y'all's pasture. It's an ornamental pear, but I bet you guys wish that it would produce some fruit. That's not going to happen, I'm sorry to say. Yeah. Yeah, you want everybody to see you, don't you, girl? So here I am. I've made my way over to the Victorian Crown Pigeon area where Marycarl has a pair of these beautiful birds that last year they teased us a bit. They sat on a big nest that they built on and on and on, and she never laid. So we supplied the birds with enough material that they could start a new nest if they chose to do so, and they did. They built another nest, and this nest was out in the wide open. It's kind of up high, and she sat a little bit, but the temperatures kind of got a hold of it, I believe. It got cool, and they both decided that they weren't going to spend time on the nest anymore. So it stopped, and we decided to just, let nature do its thing, not put any more materials in the loft because obviously, it was just too cold for any bird to lay an egg and successfully hatch it. But since that time, it's feeling like springtime again, like I told y'all. And Marycarl and I recently went to Central Florida to pick up Honey, the new addition in the donkey. And while we were gone, Jason did the feeding. He sent me a picture, and it was a Victorian crown pigeon on the nest. Now, he did not know which one it was. He just sent the picture, and that's the first time we've seen that in 2024. So let me show y'all what's going on. So I'm sitting on a bench that's kind of at the door. I'm zoomed in a little bit, but this is probably 12 foot away from me. And you can see this is the second nest that was built last year. This is the one that we thought that she was going to lay in, and it didn't happen. So who is this? Is this him or is this her? Well, there's some identification that will tell us who's who. Now, Victorian crown pigeons, like emus, but yet unlike emus, have some similarities. The male and the female share the sitting duty in this species of bird, in this breed of bird, sorry. They take turns. They will raise the child together, and it's quite interesting to see. Now, I haven't personally seen it, but I've watched and done lots of research, watched videos, just tried to get as much knowledge as I can about what happens if she does lay an egg. So, who is this? The male has a silver band, which we can't see his legs. So, I don't know what color band he has on. Also, I don't know if he or she is sitting on anything. Jason being the first one to see it, nobody's looked down in the nest. So this is a mystery. But I've got another bird down here on the ground that we can identify and see if this is the male or female sitting on the nest. So you can see over here on the ground, pacing back and forth, is one of the other birds. And it is indeed the female. She has a orange pinkish band on her left leg that does identify she's the female. He has a silver band on, as I said. Now, this is the other nest that they first laid. You can see we built this platform because that's what we were told to do by some experts. And they built the nest themselves from twigs and sticks that we put in here, and they chose what they wanted. So they kind of did some deconstruction of this nest first to start the second build, and that's when we added the material to allow them to finish the second nest, which you'll see over here. So I'm not going to make him get up, but I am going to tell you I'm very interested to know if he's sitting on an egg or if he's sitting because it's a very comfy spot. Now today marks 4 days since Jason initially saw a bird on the nest. So it very well could be an egg. I don't know. And where it's situated, I can't see, so I'm not going to bring a ladder in here, but I will take my camera and pan down in there if I see him off the nest. And they're going to swap at some point. If there's an egg, they're going to swap duties. Look at his eyes. I mean, they are just beautiful. They are red. Her eyes look the same. They look identical except for, I can tell them apart by the band. But he looks quite comfy, doesn't he? Maybe this will be the year. Maybe she's already laid an egg. And maybe he's just trying to allow that baby to hatch so they can be a family of 3. She will only lay 1 egg. And that's interesting because they're such big birds, and to know that they only lay 1 egg has to contribute to the reason there are not very many of these birds. You see them in zoos, you see them, not your backyard farmer doesn't normally have this rare pigeon, which is the largest pigeon. So we did have a few nights that the temperatures got so low that we had to put them inside the enclosed area that we built for them to stay in. We did have heat in there, and it was quite the job because we had to lure them in there, and once they did it a few times, it became easier for us to kind of show them which way we wanted them to go. But it still was, you know, you'd rather those temperatures not drop because it was stressful for them. But we were not going to lock them up all winter because we just didn't have that many nights when the temperatures dipped below 25, say. They're able to withstand it to a degree. And this is shielded on one side. It's covered on a third of the aviary. So, you know, the wind is blocked somewhat, although you can see my hair blowing. It's a different direction of wind today. But they have been protected all winter, and my goodness, we certainly have supplied everything we can possibly do to make these birds reproduce. So I sure hope this is a sign that spring is here to stay, and it's not fooling us, because none of the peach farmers around our area want to see those freezing temperatures. You know, 32 is one thing, but when you dip down into those low freezing temperatures, it's going to affect their crop. It's going to affect farming in a lot of ways, and we don't want that to happen. Much less, I don't want them to get messed up with their potential laying situation. So y'all, I'll update you when I can, when he gets off the nest or she gets off the nest. This is him right now, but it could be her in a little bit. And there's no way for me to get a camera situated where we can see in that nest. We had a camera, I'll show you. The camera that we had last year is right there, which is, you can see, right above the nest. But where he's sitting, and I'm sorry for panning around, I'm gonna go slow because it makes me dizzy, so I know it will you guys. But where he's sitting is out in the wide open. And there's no way for us to get a camera over there with wires and protect from the elements, not disturb him at the same time to see what's going on, unfortunately. So you just have to trust that I'll update you. I wish we could provide a live feed. Everybody enjoyed that, even though there was no egg. But if they lay over here, if he's not sitting on an egg and they in turn decide to use this nest, we'll be in luck. So y'all, just hope spring's here to stay, and let's hope there's an egg. Y'all be good.